Hey, how you doing, good people? Welcome to Larry Jones TV, where I get to talk about things that are not stocks in crypto. For those of you that know me from my bigger channel, I want to talk tonight about a documentary that I just watched about gospel superstar Kirk Franklin. Now, Kirk Franklin has taken a lot of heat. He's gotten a lot of heat by a lot of people over the years. Number one, he just, for traditional gospel listeners and singers, he changed the game. He did. And a lot of people didn't like that. They just didn't like it. They don't like him. He's constantly criticized. Now he's made a lot of mistakes, right? And one which was not too long ago, where there was leaked audio of him going off on his son. But I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. Every father that heard that tape, that his son set him up, and Kurt was basically getting on his case about disrespecting him as a father and disrespecting his mother, Kurt's wife, every man kind of go, yeah, I kind of agree with what Kurt said. And I would have too. Some of us act like we're just too. Anyway, let me just get to the story. All right. For those of you that don't know, Kirk Franklin is a gospel superstar. He is like at the top of the chain as far as gospel music is going. Now, I'm going to not play any play any video from it because I don't want to get flagged. I want you guys to go and view his story for yourself, and you can literally. I'm going to leave a link here to this short film that he made. It's like 35 minutes long, but I could tell you it's riveting. I think it was actually brilliant. I'll be honest with you. And there's going to be a lot of discussion around it. So I'm just going to discuss it while I'm trying out new sounds, new microphones. So bear with me. All right. So I'm going to try. I took a few notes after watching it last night, and I just want to talk about a few points, right? All right. So there was a woman by the name of Gertrude that adopted Kurt. Kurt was adopted at a young age. His mother was having problems. You'll find out there are psychological problems, probably some bipolar issues going on, definitely some denial. And some people would just call her simply evil. When you watch the short film, you will see why. Now, you cast your own judgment. Now, this woman that raised him, Gertrude, she was old, and she was really too old to be raising a young man of his age, right? And especially when he was getting older, there were things that he needed a father for, and there was no father around, right? And so for those of you women that says, "Hey, I was a father and a mother," that's impossible. I'm a straight shooter here. You can only be the best mother you could be. You can never be a father. It just doesn't work that way, all right? So one of his background singers, her name was Melody. She attended a funeral, right? And at this funeral, uh, Kurt Franklin's biological aunt was there, right? And then there was a gentleman named Rick that attended the funeral. And he says, I used to date, Kurt Franklin's mother. And so everybody started looking at him, according to Frank, because of his size, the way he looked. And rumors started going around, right? So rumors started circulating. You know how people are, he's probably the daddy. He's probably the daddy, right? So that's going on around, and it gets to Kurt Franklin's biological mother, Deborah, whom Kurt hasn't seen in over 20 years. So Deborah calls Kurt, and she says, "Hey, you want to talk about this? I don't have anything for you but the truth." And so he sets up a meeting. Meanwhile, Rick, the gentleman that made the statement that I used to date Kurt Franklin's mother, does a DNA test. He does the swab. No one asks him to do it. He does it. From everything that I could see, he looks like a good man, right? And Kurt Franklin does the same thing. So in the film, you literally hear now Kurt was working on an album, and without calling any names, I happened to know somebody who was working on this project. So I could kind of vouch a little bit from what I see that this happened in real time. So that's why this is so gripping. And so he had cameras filming him recording this record, his next record. But all of this stuff happened, and so the cameras just kept rolling, right? And so this gentleman named Rick takes the test, DNA. Kurt takes the test. And in a scene, Kurt is hearing from the person that's giving him the results. And she tells him that this gentleman is 99.999.99% your father. Now, you go, okay, he just found out who his father is. No, Kirk Franklin thought he buried his father in 2017. So his mother, his estranged mother, told him that this other gentleman was his father. It's like Maury Povich, right? And he wasn't. And Kirk Franklin went to him. He found out he was dying of cancer, and he did pass in 2017. So according to Kurt, he went to go make peace with him. And, he was like, why weren't you around? The usual stuff. And the guy was dying of cancer. And this gentleman went to his grave thinking that he was an unfit father because Kirk Franklin's mother said, that's your daddy. Come to find out he wasn't, right? So now this new gentleman, Rick, finds out he is. So Kurt, agrees to meet with his mom and his aunt, right? His mother, Deborah, which he hasn't seen in 20 years. And he goes to see her. And she says, that's not your dad. I don't care. She denies at all costs. It's not your dad. I don't care what that test says, right? So Kurt says, okay. He takes the DNA again. And the gentleman named Rick takes the DNA again. And it comes back 99.999.99%. There's 100%. There's 0% chance, or maybe 0.0000001% that he's not. So let's just say he is the father. Okay. And Kurt Franklin's mother, Deborah, still denies it. And Kurt is at this point fed up. And he says, until you could deal with this and tell me the truth, I'm done. I'm done with you. And I felt his pain. And I know a lot of people say she's an evil woman. She has problems. Unfortunately, some women, not all women, some women get a pass just because they're a woman. Because if it was a man denying at this point, after 2 tests, coming out 100% almost, that you are the father, let's just say 100% you are, twice, and you still deny it, then, Kurt is probably thinking, what other lies have you told me, right? And remember, she gave him up for adoption. So he's already dealing with that. So through all of this, you really feel Kurt's pain. And for those of you that have overjudged him, you see where he is. He had kids. He was ostracized by the church for getting a girl pregnant. You guys know how that goes for those of you that go to church. And I'm not taking up for everything he did wrong, but sometimes the church can be worse to church people than anybody else. And so you begin to get a background of how he came up. Now, his salvation, his saving grace through this rough childhood, he had no friends. He was getting picked on and felt like no one was taking up for him. His salvation was his music. And musically, he is a genius. Hands down. Hands down. He's a musical genius. But he's dealing with these family issues. And it seems like he begins to understand why his estranged son and him, their relationship is so rocky because he didn't know how to be a dad, meaning Kirk Franklin, because he didn't have a dad. And now here he is, a grown man in his 50s, and he just finds out who his dad is. Now, this gentleman, Rick, seems like he's a straight shooter, and he didn't bag up. And Rick has a daughter, and his daughter's trying to deal with this. And you got to think about Kirk Franklin's wife. She's got to deal with it. But the beauty in this is Kirk Franklin and his son came together over this, and his son wept just like he did watching the video of Kirk Franklin receiving the news that now here another guy is your father, right? This gentleman, Rick, is your father. And you thought this other guy was your father who you hadn't seen in years. And you bury him, you lose him to cancer, right? And so, I just wanted to discuss this. There's going to be a link to the video. I suggest everyone watch the full video, especially those of you guys and men that are dealing with issues with your father. And I'm just going to end by saying this while I'm talking about this. I'm in longer than I planned on being. But I was getting my hair cut today by my barber. And, I've been kind of following his story. You guys know in the barbershop, the barber's like the bartender. Everybody knows everybody's story, right? But he always tells me his story. And he's been my barber for many years. And he's having situations with his ex, who he has a child with. And she had a friend call the barbershop today. She had her friend call and say, oh, she wants to get with you and all of this. And he was telling me she has bipolar issues and, that if she showed up to his job, there could be trouble. And he's working 2 jobs now. He's taking care of his child, and she's withholding his child, playing games for money. Now, here he is now. He has a new job, good paying job, and now she wants to make nice. And, I'm a straight shooter, and I know that there's a lot of guys that are just bad out there, but there's also a lot of bad women out there. I'm gonna just say, call it like it is. I'm saying that we need to get rid of some of these things that are actually making things worse. Like happy life, happy wife. I will tell you that that's only half truth, and it's going to ruin a lot of marriages. No, happy marriage is what we should strive. Any relationship where you're just making one side of the relationship happy, that's a relationship that's going to soon implode. I actually hate hearing that. Happy wife, happy life. I talk to so many young couples, and I talk to the young woman, especially if they are about to get married. And I got pulled into counseling a young couple while I was traveling, and they were about to get married. And I said, listen, and she said it, happy wife, happy life. I said, you're going to soon be divorced. Yep, that's what I said. You're going to be soon divorced. She says, well, why this? Why did you say that? Because, I said, where did you get that from? Well, that's what everybody says. And yeah, that's why everybody winds up divorced also, too. And I told her, and I pointed to her fiance, if your number one job is not making him happy, then he can make you happy and he'll be unhappy. My dad told me something when I was young. Friday night traffic. He said, see all this traffic? You know what this is? I said, what's that? He said, these are men that don't want to go home. And so he can plaster on a smile like he's, all good. But if you're not making him happy and he's just making you happy, he's going to be unhappy and he's going to find happiness. And then you're one of the ones that act all shocked when he leaves. I thought everything was going well. So that happy wife, happy life is only half the truth. Get rid of that garbage. If you are a lady listening to me, if you want a solid marriage, because you need to think about making your husband happy as your husband makes you happy. I'm just spitting the truth. I don't talk about stuff that sounds good. And that's where it is. So I'm not passing any judgment on Kurt and this film, which is going to be the title of his new album called Father's Day. But I'm telling you, it is riveting. It is extremely emotional. And I commend him for putting it out. I don't run with the crowd. I know there's other people, yeah, but he did this, he did that, and I don't like his music. Don't listen to his music, right? But I'm just saying that it's worth a listen to because I believe that people that watch this, especially men that have father issues or issues with your children, I believe that there's some healing remedies in this short film. So do me a favor, watch the film and then come back here to this page and leave me a comment. Now, I'm releasing this late at night. I don't expect it to get many views. I haven't posted anything on this page in over a year, and I'm trying out some new background mic. I still need to get some more equipment, but let me know if you guys want me to continue to discuss some things that are not stocks. There's other things that I want to talk about. This just happened to be something that I just watched on yesterday when he released it. Okay, leave me a comment. I'm going to leave it there. I will be back with the outro music. I'm going to wake this page up. I'm going to end like I do on my main page. Live, love, laugh, and learn. It's very late right now, so if I look sleepy, I am. But I will be back soon. All right? Love you guys. Peace.